Hadley Day was 32 years old when he discovered the secret that would change his life forever. An ordinary man working at a job that barely paid the bills, about to make a discovery that would transform him into a millionaire. But here's what will shock you. He started with just $100. Yes, you heard that right. $100. The same amount you probably spend on a weekend dinner. And in less than 5 years, Hadley transformed those measly $100 into a fortune of over $2 million. How? Through a strategy so simple that anyone can replicate it, but so powerful that only 3% of people actually execute it. Stay until the end because I'm going to reveal exactly what Hadley did, step by step, and how you can start today. It was March 2019. Hadley Day woke up every day at 6:30 in the morning for another day at the accounting office where he had worked for 8 years. 32 years old, single, living in a rented apartment in Denver, Colorado. His life was a predictable routine. Work, home, Netflix, sleep, repeat. At the end of the month, after paying all the bills, maybe $200 or $300 remained. Hadley looked at his older colleagues in the office and saw his own future. 40 years doing the same thing, earning the same salary, living the same mediocre life. It was on one of those sleepless nights randomly browsing YouTube that Hadley came across a video that would change everything. The title was provocative. How I Turned $500 into $50,000 with Bitcoin. Hadley almost scrolled past. Cryptocurrencies? That seemed like science fiction movie stuff. But something made him click. Maybe it was the silent desperation of someone who knows they need a radical change. The video told the story of an ordinary guy who had invested a small amount in Bitcoin and watched his money multiply exponentially. Hadley watched mesmerized. These weren't empty promises, it was pure mathematics. Limited supply, growing demand, institutional adoption. For the first time in years, Hadley felt something he had forgotten existed. Hope. Hadley spent the next 3 weeks obsessively researching Bitcoin. The more he learned, the more fascinated he became. This wasn't just a digital currency. It was a revolution, a completely new way of thinking about money, about value, about humanity's financial future. The problem was that Hadley didn't have money to invest. Or rather, he was afraid to invest what little he had. That's when he had an epiphany. The decision wasn't easy. Hadley told his best friend Marcus about his idea. Marcus laughed in his face. Dude, you're going to throw $100 in the trash. Bitcoin is a bubble. Everyone knows that. His sister was even harsher. Hadley, you don't have money to be playing with these things. But there was something inside Hadley that screamed louder than other people's voices. It was the voice of a man who was tired of living a small life, tired of accepting crumbs, tired of watching opportunities pass while he remained paralyzed by fear. On April 15, 2019, Hadley made his first Bitcoin purchase. $100. The price was at $5,200 per Bitcoin. He bought 0.019 Bitcoin. Hadley remembers exactly how he felt at that moment, a mixture of excitement and terror. The first months were an emotional roller coaster. Hadley checked the price obsessively. When it went up, he felt like a genius. When it went down, his stomach churned. In May, his investment had risen to $140. In June, it plummeted to $80. He almost sold everything. It was at that moment that Hadley made the decision that would define his financial future. Instead of selling, he decided to create a system. Every month, religiously, Hadley would invest $100 in Bitcoin. It didn't matter if the price was high or low. $100 every month without exception. This strategy has a name: dollar cost averaging. But for Hadley, it was more than a strategy. It was an act of faith. Month after month, he cut unnecessary expenses and invested those $100. He stopped eating out, canceled subscriptions he didn't use. His friends thought he had gone crazy. The year 2020 arrived like a hurricane. The pandemic hit the world and Bitcoin plummeted from $9,000 to $3,800 in a matter of days. Hadley watched his portfolio crash to $800. Marcus sent dozens of messages. "I warned you, man. Sell now before you lose everything." But Hadley had learned something fundamental. He wasn't just investing in Bitcoin. He was investing in a new version of himself. Instead of selling, Hadley increased his monthly purchase to $200. If Bitcoin was on sale, he would buy more. What happened in the following months was magical. Governments began printing money like never before. Companies like Tesla and MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin. Institutional investors entered the market. The price began to rise, and rise, and rise. In December 2020, Bitcoin reached $20,000. Hadley's portfolio had surpassed $10,000. But that was just the beginning. "2021 was the year that changed everything. Bitcoin exploded to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. In April, it reached almost $65,000. Hadley's portfolio had surpassed $100,000. More money than he had earned in 2 years of work. But here's what separated Hadley from 99% of people. He didn't sell. He continued buying $200 every month, regardless of price. When Bitcoin fell to $30,000 in mid-2021, he bought more. When it rose to $69,000 in November, he bought more. When it plummeted to $15,000 in 2022, he bought even more. It was during that dark period of 2022 that Hadley learned the most valuable lesson. Real wealth doesn't come from perfect timing. Real wealth comes from discipline, consistency, and a long-term vision that transcends momentary emotions. Hadley developed what he calls the billionaire mindset. He began thinking in decades, not days. He began seeing market drops not as losses, but as opportunities to buy cheaper. In 2023, when Bitcoin recovered, rising from $15,000 to $30,000, Hadley's portfolio had already surpassed $500,000. But the most impressive thing wasn't the numbers. It was the personal transformation. Hadley had become a sophisticated investor, someone who understood markets. Today in 2024, as Bitcoin approaches $70,000, Hadley's portfolio has surpassed $2 million. From $100 to $2 million in less than 5 years. But Hadley didn't stop working. He didn't buy luxury cars. He understood something few understand. True wealth isn't about ostentation, it's about freedom. What was really Hadley's secret? It wasn't luck. It wasn't perfect timing. The secret was consistent discipline applied to a historic opportunity. Hadley identified 3 fundamental principles that anyone can apply. First, start small, but start. Second, be consistent. Third, think in decades, not days. The most fascinating thing about Hadley's story is that it's replicable. Bitcoin is still in the early stages of global adoption. We're living through a historic moment comparable to the emergence of the internet in the 90s. But here's the brutal reality. Most people won't act. They'll watch this video, they'll be inspired, but they won't take the first step. They'll find excuses. I don't have money and it's too risky. I'll wait for the price to drop. Hadley also had all these excuses. The difference is that he chose to act despite them. And that choice changed everything. The question remains, will you be like Marcus, who laughed at the moment is now? You don't need to invest thousands of dollars. Start with $50, $100, $200. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is starting. If this video inspired you, if Hadley Day's story resonated with you, then do 2 things right now. First, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. Second, leave a comment telling me what your first step will be. Remember, the future belongs to those who have the courage to build it. Hadley Day was an ordinary 32-year-old man who made an extraordinary decision. Today he's a millionaire. Tomorrow, this could be your story.